I made the switch to undermounted drawer slides a few years ago, and it wasn't until I had to go back recently and use some side-mounted drawer slides that I realized just how better the undermount are and how much I dislike the side-mounted. And here's why. So last year we remodeled this closet that you see behind me here in our hall, and what we ended up doing was we turned it into a built-in. We made cabinet doors up top, and then we also put drawers down below, give us a lot more functionality. However, when it came to those drawers down below, the problem that we ran into was that it was kind of during the height of the supply chain issues during the pandemic, and so we ended up having a hard time finding any undermount drawer slides. So we just ended up using what was handy and easy, which was at Home Depot, and they were side-mounted, soft close slides, and honestly that's where our problems began. So first up is the installation process, and honestly it's kind of a pain because if you're using face frame cabinets, what you got to do is you've got to put blocking on the inside to bring that out to where the face frame's at so that you've got clearance for the drawer boxes. Another part of the installation process that I figured out really quickly that was kind of a pain was also just mounting them on the inside of the box and then also on the drawer boxes themselves. It was just kind of frustrating. Now you can use a Craig drawer slide jig for this and it does help and it makes it easier. But once you've used an undermount drawer slide, you'll figure out really quickly that there's really no comparison when it comes to installation. So like I said a minute ago, we ended up using soft close on the side here, and honestly they were horrible. I picked them up and they're not cheap, first of all, but the problem that I ran into was that nothing would slide, nothing would move, nothing would work right. It was very, very frustrating trying to figure out like what in the world is going on. And I want you to understand something. Like, I know that I've seen some people say, oh, it's got to be perfect and everything's got to be square. Like, I'm very, very persnickety when it comes to how square, and all my tolerances are right. So like it was very square. But the problem is we couldn't, like, they wouldn't go in or out. And honestly, one of them hung up so bad that I had to kind of force it out, and it ended up kind of bending some stuff on the drawer slide. And so then I ended up just taking those and just ripping those all up and just threw them in the trash, all of them. I was so frustrated with that and just went to a regular non-soft close. And those honestly were easier and I didn't hate them quite as bad, but they're non-soft close. So it's a luxury, I realize that. It's kind of a first world problem, but we're talking about first world things here, so it is what it is. So the next thing that I noticed was just the overall strength when it comes to these drawer slides. So typically a side-mounted drawer slide, especially a full extension side mount, they run about 50 pounds is typically what you're going to see on their weight ratings. Whereas an undermount drawer slide, a lot of times they're closer to more in the 100-pound range. Not only that, just the way that it feels when you extend this drawer all the way out, it's pretty flimsy and rickety. And again, this is the more expensive ones from Home Depot. This is not like a cheapo from Amazon. So I don't know. I don't particularly care for that because when you have an undermount drawer slide, you don't have near that much play in your side-to-side movement on your slides. So appearance is one of the things that really was a big deal for us as well. And we just realized that those side-mounted drawer slides are kind of ugly. Not a huge deal, but it just looks so cool on these sides when you open up these drawers and you just can't see anything, and it just looks like they're floating as they come on out. Just a really cool feature. There seems to be a misnomer about undermount drawer slides when it comes to price, and it just seems like that most people think that they're just a lot more expensive, and nothing could be farther from the truth. Home Depot, those slides that I used in the closet, in the hallway, they were about $25 a pair, and on Woodworkers Express you can get Bloom undermount drawer slides in about the same size for about the same price, about $24, $25 a pair. What I found though is that locally we've actually got a hardwood supplier here that carries Bloom as well as other brands, and they carry a brand called Pride Industrial. That brand is very strong, very good, and we honestly have had no issues with it and can't really tell much difference between that and Bloom. The only difference that we're seeing though is that the price is $14 a pair, and so we're talking about $10 a pair difference between those and the Bloom. That is a huge savings. Now here in this closet, we built this with 12-inch slides. Now these are basically kind of like a built-in. We turned this into kind of like a dresser here, and these are the cheapest of the cheap. These drawer slides, they work fine as far as like coming in and out, but what you find is that you've still got this flimsiness about them from side to side that just are not very good. And they get the job done, they work, But if I had it to do over again, I would totally do undermount in here. But it was just at a time when I was just not very comfortable doing that. And honestly, they kind of intimidated me. And if you find yourself at a place where you're kind of in the same boat and this kind of intimidates you to think about trying undermount drawer slides, I got a video queued up right here. It's going to tell you 3 different things. It's going to help you get started and give you a lot of tips along the way.